Hello everyone, my name is Clifford, and thank you again for joining me today. So today I'm gonna be going through building a data-driven stock market web application. That name probably suggests that it has a lot involved. But honestly, it's going to turn out to be a very short program that we're going to write, and that's with the help of the technologies that I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be using Python. I'm going to be using Streamlit. So Streamlit actually is going to be the one that's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting. It's gonna encapsulate a lot of our processes, make things very much faster as compared to building a traditional web application. And I'm going to show how that works. It's a bit windy. I'm going to be using Pandas as well. So Pandas is it's a very popular data science library in Python. So we use that to work with data frames, which are really tables. And then I'm going to be using Yfinance. So Yfinance is a Python library as well that helps us with getting stock, like real-time stock market data from Yahoo Finance. It is provided by Yahoo Finance. And then I'm also going to be referring to the Yahoo Finance site just to give a visualization of the information that we're working with. I'm going to do that shortly. And then I have a very funny feeling you're noticing something different about my video today. So I have a little bit of sun coming in today because I'm recording at noon. So it was really obscuring my vision here, my view. So I just had to rely on my interior designing skills there. So just to start, I'm very big on working with virtual environments. So in my previous videos, I've worked with the VENV module for creating virtual environments. But today I'm going to be creating a virtual environment from the Anaconda navigator. So I'm just going to do that now. As soon as I start sharing my screen. There you go. Share my screen there. Right, there you go. Put this down there. And then, all right. So I mentioned that we're going to be using the Yahoo Finance website. So Yahoo, it gives us a lot of information about the stock market. So for example, if we want information about Apple, I believe Apple ticker symbol is APL. So it's going to give us the market information about Apple. All right, I wasn't really looking for. All right, let me see. Oh, there we go. So it gives us I think you can probably tell, we can have an idea already. Different information about the Apple company. What we're going to be working with today is particularly the historical data, because we're going to be visualizing the historical data of a company using the tables, and also we're going to be visualizing that with graphs as well. So for example, the historical data gives us the opening, the high, the low, the close, and there should be the dividends as well, and adjusted dividends. So let me see. Historical prices. What's the frequency? Let's see here. Okay, there we go. So we're seeing the dividends here. You're seeing the stock splits and the capital gain. So yeah, this is the information that we're going to be working with today. Pandas is going to be helping us with working with this data frame here, and then we're going to be using Streamlit to show this information on our user interface, and then Yfinance for certain uses as well. I'm just going to show that as I go through the code itself. So just to save up on time, I'm just going to start on that quickly. So I've already opened my Anaconda navigator beforehand because it tends to take time to load. So after you load it, your user interface will be looking like this, and then from here on, you're going to navigate to your environments. We're going to be creating our virtual environments through the Anaconda navigator. So this, I'm going to call it stock. I'm just going to call it stock market prices. I'm going to create that environment. Okay, I'm not getting any feedback. I'm wondering if it's creating. Let's see. Oh, I didn't click on it. Create. All right. I don't know why it's taking a. I don't know why it's taking a while to do it. I'm not even getting like feedback as to whether I should be waiting. So let me just. I have never used. Oh, there we go. I was about to use this one because I never used it before. I guess it would be available for use. Updating application. I'm not gonna be doing that now. So I'm just gonna wait for my virtual environment to be created down here. So Anaconda Navigator is a very, I really recommend the downloading of this if you'd like to work with anything data science. It's very, you have everything in one place. You have R there, you have Jupyter Notebook, PyCharm if you're a PyCharm person, and Spider. So I think it's quite handy. Alright. Right, I'm not sure what's happening, so let me just open terminal with this one here, because I'm not sure whether that's been created. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to, so I am operating in a virtual environment right now. It's called Base. But so what I did here is after creating my virtual environment of choice, it should be down here. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I did for this one here. I'm going to execute it on my terminal. So I'm really wondering why that's not executing, but we're just going to use the available one. Base, and navigate into my documents. And then let me create a let's call it stock market, and then I all right. So I'm going to navigate into that folder here, and then open Visual Studio Code. So I do have a metal roof, so there's going to be that sound in the background every now and then because it's quite windy today. Right, so that's fine. And then what I'm going to need to do is, since I'm working in a virtual environment, I'm still going to need to, it's a virtual environment, it's new. I'm going to need to install all the packages that I'm going to be working with. So the first one I'm going to install is Streamlit itself. Streamlit. So Streamlit is the package that we're going to be using to create our user interface that's going to be available for us in the web. And then the next one that I'm going to install is Yfinance. So Yfinance is the module that's going to give us the data on the stock market. And that's what I'm going to install next. Yfinance. All right, so we should be good on that part. So I'm just gonna create a file here. I'm gonna call it .py. We are writing in Python, hence the extension. Just gonna close this and remove my charger. My laptop is overheating at this point, so I'm just gonna import Yfinance is YF. So this as just saying, I'm just giving my module an alias. It's quite conventional to name Yfinance as YF. I'm also going to import my Streamlit as ST. That's also conventional. I'm going to be working with Django right now. I'm going to import Pandas. So Pandas is a library, as I said, that's going to help us with working with data frames. I wonder why the lines. All right, so let me just test if my Streamlit is. This is how we test whether our Streamlit was successfully installed. Right. That should redirect us to a port. All right, so we're looking good. So we can, it's similar to Django in the sense that it gives us a port that we can access like that. Oh yeah, here. So I guess it loads automatically. So this is our user interface, but we are going to be closing all of this. Let me see. All right, so it just shows us that our port is working properly and Streamlit was installed successfully. But then what we want to run is our own module and not the hello module. So what I'm gonna run is, so the command that we execute to run our file is streamlit run stock app.py. So I'm just gonna close this here. All right, okay. Seems like we're looking good. We're not getting any errors. Obviously our user interface is empty right now because we haven't put anything there. So I'm just going to quickly go through the basics of Streamlit. So with Streamlit, we essentially, it's similar to, I think it's an encapsulation of HTML, because we can do different things with Streamlit, like the same things that we can do with HTML. For example, I'm not going to touch on every single thing that we can do, but the first thing that we can do is maybe write a title. So a title in HTML would be something similar to a H1. So let's say maybe write stock market. But it's a web app. We're just going to leave it at app. Let's do a title, and then so we're going to get options whether we want to rerun after every change, or we want it to always rerun. So I think this is more time saving. It's gonna save everything as we go. So there's our app, our title there, and then the other thing that we can do is we can do a header. Put header. Maybe let's say Google, something like that, just for testing. So Streamlit knows that title is the highest font for our text, then header is the second highest. So we're going to see something like this. Here, that's all cool. You can see the font is slightly smaller than this here. Our header. Okay, let me close this. So with another thing we can do is write. So with writing is open to a lot of things, not only text. So for example, we can write, we can put anything. We can put like an element, any other element. It doesn't have to be text here, and I'm going to show that very shortly. So we're going to be writing. So writing is going to appear as a paragraph. So let's say we are looking at if we write something like that. So it's going to appear as a P paragraph there, synonymously to HTML. So that's the basics I just like to touch on for now. It's really, there's more documentation. For example, what you can do, you can have your different parts of your text in that. You can italicize that company part. It's going to be italics, and then you can bold your, let me see, you can bold your performance word there with 2 asterisks. So there it's bold now. And then another thing that you can do is for your markup, let's say you write. I don't use these ones a lot because I have title and header, but then another thing that you can know about your markup is using the hashtag. So the hashtag is synonymous to the H1 in HTML, and then when you're going to be having 2 hashtags, you're gonna have, it's going to be similar to a H2, and so on. So maybe let's type something like welcome here. I'm going to see, it's going to give us, put a space there, give us something similar to a H1 tag in HTML. But as I said, I really use the hashtags because I have header and title, and those seem to be working fine for me. So I'm just gonna get rid of that and that as well. Just to keep it clean for now. All right, so the first thing, okay, so we're first going to have to decide about what company we'd like to work with. So I'm just going to be choosing Apple. So I guess we can bring back our header. Say looking at the credit history. So that's going to be our header there, and then I mean, of course, like we're not limited to working with one company because we can always take inputs, and I'm going to show how as we go on. We just reduce that size. Okay, then that's the lowest it can go. So that's us currently. So the first thing that I'd like to do is we're gonna go to our Apple here. So what we can do in our history, we can give a time period. That is like we're gonna decide for how long a period we want our data. So currently I have it on 1 year, and then we're going to decide on the frequency as well as to how many how frequent we want our data to come in. I think when working with a year, monthly is fair enough. So that's a bit shorter now. It's April, it's March, it's Feb. Because that's a dividend. Dividend it occurs every quarterly, so that's understandable why we only have it after 4 months. And then yeah, that's really about it. With in terms of the time period and the frequencies. And then what I'm gonna do is I will first import the file here. Let me see. Okay, I'm gonna start with creating the table, and then after the table, I'm gonna create the graphs themselves. So I'm gonna start for creating the tables. I'm gonna download my file first. Let me see where it is. It needs to be, I want it in my directory. I'm gonna cut that. I think I called it stock market. Let me see what we called our folder again. Excuse me. Stock market. Alright, it's probably under my PC. Stock market. There you go. I'm gonna paste my CSV file in here. Apple.csv, so that it's accessible to me. And then I'm gonna come back to my in here. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do. I will create a table, a pandas data frame with my CSV file. So that's gonna be pd.read. Okay. Pandas.read CSV Apple.csv, right? So this here is going to create this function. The read CSV function of the pandas library is going to create a data frame of my Excel spreadsheet, which is going to be a Python data type that we can work with since we're working in Python. And then so Pandas offers us with different methods that we can use. For example, there's the head method. So the head method gives us the it gives us the first 5 entries of our table. So that's going to be like that. So we're still working fine. And then let me see. And then what we're going to do, because if we think about it, it's a very long. Let me just show that again. It's a very long spreadsheet. Okay, it's not that long, but I think for our user interface, it can be, we can say it's long. So I'm just going to show the first 5 entries of my data frame, which is this part here. And then remember with Streamlit, we can do write. So with writing, as I mentioned, we're not only limited to text, so we can also add other elements. So we're going to write that into our user interface, and then there we go. So we have it in our user interface now. So this is the same data that we have for Apple. We have our opening price, our high, our low, our close for that specific period. In this case, it's a month. Yes, all the different data that we can expect from a history. And then what I'd like to do now is create the let me do the head. Let's do the tail. Let's take the so tail is another method from Pandas. It gives us the you can guess it. It gives us the last 5 entries of our data frame. And then I take that and we're going to write that into our user interface as well. There we go. So as you can see, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're having 0 here. That's because in Python or really programming in general, we usually index from 0. That means our numbers start from 0, hence the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is the first 5, then this is the last 5. But then I want to structure it such that we have the table first, and then the graph, and then a table, and then the graph again. So, but then with the graph, I'm going to need to choose a certain variable because I'm going to be doing a line chart. So I'm going to be going with maybe let's choose close. So for my graphs, that's when Yfinance is going to come in. All right, so it's going to be the head. So now to create my graph, let me say I'm going to first need my ticker symbol. Ticker symbol for Apple, that's AAPL. So a ticker symbol is the stock market representation of the company, the name. So my one is AAPL since I'm working with Apple. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create, I'm going to get some information. Let's see, it's going to be Yfinance. It's YF since I inputted it as YF. The ticker. Ticker. So ticker is a class that we use to create an instance of our history of our data frame rather. So this is going to be our data here. It's going to give us the all right. It's going to give us different data. That's the history, like all of these tabs that we see here. It's going to be the history. I clicked on history right now. History, the statistics, the profiles, the financials, but then we don't need all of that. What we need is the historical data. So what I'm going to do is do ticker history. Go with that variable. And then I'm going to so the history function is going to give me the history the history information of my company instead of like everything else that is there. So now what we're going to pass in here is the ticker data. I'm going to pass the period. Let's say we do, for example, we do 1 day, just for an example for now. We're going to need to pass a start, because remember we had a period on our site here. So you can choose the frequency, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly, and so on. And this is the time period here. So this is the start and the end date. So that's what we're going to pass there. So the start, let's pass it as, we have something similar to something consistent. 15 April 2021 to 15 April. All right, so then yeah, so that's gonna be our ticker history there, and then we still, what should be the history? Okay, is there something my tickers. Period. All right, let me check my. Seems to be something oh, okay. Is it period, or I don't need to have that there? I wonder what the name of my variable is. Just gonna need to quickly check that. All right, so that looks good. It is period. I'm just wondering why it was saying it's not. But anyway, so after I get that history, I'm gonna do a line chart of my history. Like that. So all is V1. And then there we go. So we're having different. So we're having it's showing us all of the parameters here. We're having the close, the dividends, the high, the low, and so on. So that's how we can get all the information in there. But I'd like us to have only one information, just so we have a clear picture. That's another thing that you can do. You can zoom in and out, and then if you want to go back to your original, you're going to double click on that. So I'm just going to do ticker, let me see, I might have to refer to my notes here. When last did I do this? Let me get Yfinance. Yeah. Close. I remember it's supposed to be dot and the particular field that you're looking for. For example, it's either ticker data dot close. Okay, yeah, it's this part here. Dot close. I just remembered now. So now we're just having only the close. We're only plotting the close price of our stock Apple, and then let's say so now we're not seeing like a major difference. I would say that's because we're only having a period of only 1 year, so we're not seeing like a dramatical change. But if we were to maybe do 2000 here, and then change our period to probably 6 months. Also, these are not, I'm not making these periods up. It's actually a conventional way of typing the periods in. But let's say that was our period now, we'd see something different like that. So it's still the same property, the close price, but then in a different period now. So we can work around with that, visualizing our data like that. And then, yeah, so we can just move on to creating another graph down here. So let's say maybe down here we want to work with say the volume. So tail, just gonna challenge myself here to just write it from scratch and not try to copy that. So take a 2, that's going to be, well, I don't have to, I have the ticker data already. It's going to do st.line. Chart ticker history. Okay, I actually don't have a lot to write, so I'm gonna go for the volume one now. So since I'm using the same ticker history, my period is gonna be this one, since it's the same variable. So I'm gonna have the volume chart having the same period and frequencies as my close price. So I'm gonna have that down there. And there we go. That's our volume there. And then yeah, that's really the basic of it. Using Pandas to show our data frame, and using Yfinance to request our data of the stock market, Pandas again, and so on. So now we're using Apple for this one, but I did mention that we can use any company really. So let's say, for example, we want to look at Google. I think the ticker symbol for Google is Cook. So we do that. You should see a difference. It's probably a bit hard to tell because you need to memorize the diagram itself, but let's try to see. So it seems to be curving up here, and then this one starts off high and then it goes low. So let's just go back there to see that we're actually seeing two different graphs. So there we go. So that one was curving up, but then it was a bit more leaning towards this side, the left, and then the volume graph was more was still higher at around like the 2004 area. Just see that. We're seeing different. There we go. I guess it changed while we were looking this time around. But yes, that's really about it. And then just to clean up a little bit, we're gonna do after each and every one of our, or rather before our head, we're gonna do dot real data, or rather, let me say, let me see the period. So since our period is 6 months. Okay, so this, and then that's our head. So that's going to be first 6 months. So that's what, 5 years. 5 years, 2.5 years. 5 years. And then we're going to do the same thing for here. After period. Just to have a separation. There, so probably. Okay, this was supposed to be before our table. I'm just gonna move it up to our table. Right, there you go. And then we can make it more aesthetic. Can make it more and more aesthetic by having inputs here. Let's say you have an input, and then you enter a ticker symbol, and then for example TSLA, that would be Tesla, and then it would show us the corresponding graphs of the company itself. You can zoom in like this just to have a different view of the graph, and then if you want to go back to original form, you're going to double click on that. Same thing here, you zoom in out, double click. So it's I think Streamlit really makes it very interesting and to create web applications for our data science projects. It's something that I would really like to go and explore more of. I think really data science is really it's interesting because I mean it's nice to numbers talk to us. So I think data science just really appreciates that. We can get a lot from numbers. Numbers show behavior, and behavior and patterns never lie. That's my thinking of data science really. And yes, so I'd like to end it here. Thank you very much for joining me today, and see you next time. Bye-bye.